All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for one of our final chat series sessions for our graduate business programs here at RIT in the Saunders College of Business. My name is Matt Cornwell. I work with our student services office and closely with our prospective graduate students. So today I have a great group of current students across a variety of our programs here today to talk to you about their experiences and their view on the programs and what some of their big takeaways have been thus far in their experiences here at Saunders and the College of Business. So the structure of the session, we're going to just do quick welcome introductions here, about 20 minutes of kind of a moderated discussion, and then any questions you all have. That's really why we do this session, right? We want to hear from you. So if you have questions on anything, please feel free to put those in the chat, and we'll go ahead and get to those in kind of that back half of the session. And don't be afraid to ask things, unrelated to curriculum and stuff. If it's housing related, if it's experiences on campus, off campus, all of those things, experiences in Rochester for those that aren't familiar with the area, feel free to ask those and we can certainly address those questions as well. And the last thing I'll note is that if anyone does need captioning services, there is that automatic captioning feature in Zoom. So please feel free to use that. It's at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So if you do need that, go ahead and use that as well. But without further ado, we'll jump in here. And Palak, I'll have you start with your introduction.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Palak. I'm the first year MBA student. I finished my undergrad at RIT in December, and on campus outside of studies I do work. I actually work for MAD as a graduate assistant, and then I also work for Academic Success Center and Orientation.
Awesome. Thank you, Palak. Appreciate it. And John?
Yeah, sorry, my phone's just ringing now. Hey, my name's John. I'm in the MS Finance program. Started in the fall, so a little bit of classes left over the summer, and then I'll be wrapping up. I'm not working anywhere right now. Were those the overviews you wanted, Matt?
Yeah, and John, if you just want to mention your previous business experience, I think that will
Yeah,
help.
so I graduated undergrad 20 years ago and came back to school for like a change of career thing. So spent most of the last 20 years running restaurants and things like that, and doing a different thing than I was now.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. And Priya?
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Priya Singla. I'm from India. I'm an international student pursuing accounting and analytics. I started my the course in fall, and I'll be graduating this May. So the course is just 1 year long. And apart from my curriculum, I worked as a student research initiative under a professor on a really nice research based on artificial intelligence. And after my graduation, I'll be working in an industry. So I'll be moving to Boston after this.
Oh, congrats. Good for you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Okay, so let's start. This question is fairly common, but I think it's an important one for all of our students that are, regardless of where they are at in the funnel in terms of being admitted, considering applying those things. But to you all, and Palak, I'll start with you, and then we can just kind of work our way around. Why did you choose RIT and the Saunders College of Business for graduate study?
So I say RIT kind of found me. I just ended up getting a letter from them to apply. And honestly, at first, it was just a number on my list because my dad wanted me to apply for 10 colleges and just have options. But when I attended, and this was like during COVID, so everything was over Zoom. But when I attended the Zoom sessions, talked to the students and the admission staff and just like everyone, I felt kind of belonged in the community, and it felt like a connection. And I was like, if they can make me feel like this over Zoom, I can only wonder what it is in person. And feeling belonged and just having a feeling like there's a place for me was one of the most important things to me. That's why I ended up choosing RIT and College of Business.
Awesome. Thank you, Palak. And John?
Yeah, so one thing that went into it was location. So I've lived in Rochester since I moved here for undergrad for RIT. So I didn't want to go further than Western New York. So I applied to schools in Buffalo and Rochester. RIT kind of hit that sweet spot of location for me, but then also pricing between U of R and UB. And then the reputation compared to UB is a little bit higher from what I could see. Alumni network and things, hopefully a little bit tighter to get those relationships to get a job afterwards. And since I want to stay in Rochester, going to school here, a little bit easier to get those connections here as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. And what about you, Priya?
So since I was an international student, so the major factor which connected me to RIT was the how large the campus was and enough opportunities to work alongside when you study. So that really, so I had like couple of options in New York main city, but I didn't had like, the campus was not that big enough. So I would can, work alongside when I study. So that was one of the biggest reason. And second is the co-op opportunities which we get in RIT, because in the beginning I planned to do the co-op, but I ended up getting a full-time job. That's another story. But yeah, the initiate I mean that was the main motive I applied for RIT.
Matt, if I could chop in, I
Yeah,
forgot
go ahead,
also one thing that was a big benefit to RIT, especially compared to UB or U of R, there's a lot more flexibility in the programming and your
Oh
choice of
yeah.
classes than the other two were very strict in what they wanted you to do, and this one was a lot more flexible to be able to tailor it to what part of the industry you wanted to learn and things like that. So that was a huge plus also.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, the MS finance program in particular is very, very customizable. And even for a program like accounting and analytics, I know you have some latitude with electives. And frankly, our faculty are pretty flexible with, if you have interests and maybe you've taken a course in a certain area and you're like, I feel like this might be redundant for me, I might want to substitute something in. That's a conversation that you can absolutely have. And we're happy to do that. Because again, our goal here is we don't want you studying things, that you've already studied previously, right? We want to extend your knowledge base so you're prepared to hit the ground running, whatever career you jump into. So Priya, I'll come back to the job component that you had mentioned and things like that, because I think that's super important and it's awesome for you that you're able to find something pretty quickly as well. But for the next piece, and this does segue into that career component, how do you feel RIT and Saunders has prepared you for your future career or career change, whatever that might look like? Priya, I'll start with you on that one.
Honestly, I mean, the study structure here in US is very different from what
Mhm.
we studied in India. It's like different. It's not south. Like you cannot compare both the structures. So here I felt, I personally felt, so I'm 6+ years experience working back in India. I have worked with Citibank and Union Bank of Switzerland, etc. So when I came here, I realized that I came at the right time. If I wouldn't have been like, such an experienced person, I would not understand, the kind of assignments we get. Like, it is actually related to you're working in a corporate.
Mhm.
Like the capstone project, let's say, let's give an example, or in our MGIS data analytics class, we work on the real data of the Rochester Regional Health. Like these are certain components, and we our skills get so enhanced. So here I learned so many analytics tools with apart from what I already knew, and that was Microsoft Excel. I worked on R, Python, and I'm working on Tableau in my assignment. So I'm very much sure that the combined study incorporating all the elements will help me in my corporate journey to which I'll be starting soon after I graduate. So, I mean, this has been really beneficial for me in my career perspective.
Awesome. Thank you, Priya. Appreciate that. And how about for you, Plak?
So similar to what Priya said, I think the assignment is one of the biggest thing. Like one of the examples I can think of in my marketing class, we had to design a personal website. So it was not only an assignment, but it was like this is something that I can use in the real world. Like I had it. So I feel like the assignments are just not something that it's sake for the it's an assignment for the sake of the assignment. It's more like, yes, you're gonna use this information. Like I'm also taking MDIS class where we work with data. Like right now we're working with crime data and how to present that. Like they also teach you to like, yes, there's a technical side, but then how do you take that data and present it to someone who might not have that background and simplify it for them. And even with like, I feel like the connections with the professors, like I feel like they have so much experience in the industry itself that they bring it to class instead of just like reading a textbook. I feel like these professors have real life examples that have helped us, and just like talking to them in office hours and getting their advice and just learning from the best, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you, Plak. And John, anything else you want to add there?
So a few of the things, I mean, aside from the actual education, I think there's a lot of things that have really tied in and made it really getting me more ready for finding a job or helping me find a job. A couple trips that the accounting and finance trip have taken, and that's led to a couple semi-offers through that, even though that's not really the point of it. A bunch of on-campus events for meeting people and just furthering education, meeting people out in the industry have been really great. It doesn't really apply to me, but RIT in general is really big on co-ops. So depending on what kind of program, that could be really important. There's definitely a focus on certification. So getting that piece of paper that makes you more hireable. And they're very focused on, helping you get that. And then I guess the last thing tying into what was also said, the professors are great. And there's a mix of industry, people who came from industry, maybe with a master's, and then more career educators who maybe have a doctorate, and getting the mix of the educational career versus, people who've pivoted into education, I think is really great, and kind of getting a little mix of those. I don't think I'd want all of one or the other.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, John. Yeah, we definitely have a blend of, career educators who have done a lot of research in their space, but also adjuncts who, or lecturers that have worked in the space full time as well. So there's a good blend, especially in our graduate programs. So you, again, and Palak mentioned this as well, but just building that network, I think, is super important as you progress through. And to John's point, the trips, we call those traveling tigers. So I know the accounting and finance group and department has done quite a bit in that space, just visiting regional, local companies, allowing you to build networks. But that spans all of our programs, and it's not limited to just undergrad students. We certainly have graduate students that take advantage of that as well. But we have very large career fairs each semester, a lot of professional networking that happens organically, but also that's set in various events that we do as well. So, again, we really try and bring that to you all. So Priya, I'm going to throw this to you because I know you had mentioned co-op being a draw, but then you ultimately found a full-time job. So that you really didn't ultimately need to pursue the co-op. But can you talk about what that process was like for you in terms of going through the steps of, coming in? Obviously, you've been here for 2 semesters, right?
Yeah.
So it's been quick, right? So what did that look like for you as you kind of went through the job search process?
I mean, so I got the job in the first quarter of me coming to Rochester. So I really wanted to do the co-op and the internship, but I went through the process and the career fair. I think networking is really crucial. This is what I feel, that you should not go with the aim of like getting a job, but knowing the company. In fact, career fairs are for me like that. Like I go in a career fair with a motive of knowing the company, knowing the culture of the company, and the process on how to apply. So I understood all of that, and in fact, not just one company, I got a call from other companies as well, like whether they are hiring or not hiring, at what time I should be approaching them. Like there were a couple of companies who told me that I should be approaching them towards the end of graduation, because if you want to apply for experienced roles, so please approach us towards the May end, or April end, or towards your graduating. So the process was, for me, is like networking, one thing
Mhm.
which I would say, and be proactive. Don't
Yeah.
let go of any opportunity. If you have a mail, try some mail with some opportunity, try to reply to that or apply for that like within 24 hours. So that is one thing which I have proactively followed, and that's what landed me a job. This is what I feel. So yeah, so the process was quite good. Like, and if I talk about the interview process, after I applied, I had like 3 rounds of interview, including the HR round, and yes, and the window took about 1 month to complete the process.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. And what company? I know you said you're going to Boston, but what's the
Yeah,
company
it's
role play?
RSM International.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what specifically is the role you'll be
So,
having there?
so I'll be working as an audit associate, and
Okay.
it's a Big Six accounting company.
Got it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you again.
Thank you.
And Plak, is there anything, and I know the co-op you had was on the undergrad side, but again, it's still, holds true in terms of what things could look like on the graduate side. But I know you had a pretty awesome experience as well with your co-op. So do you just want to highlight anything related to that experience?
Sure. I mean, I guess Priya kind of said in networking, like that's how I got my co-ops. I just ended up asking people like, this is what I'm looking for, if they knew anyone, and that's how the connection was made. And that's how I found like both of my co-ops were through like connections and like, oh yes, we have this position if you want it. So it was actually in undergrad, I ended up switching to SOIS. So it was Dean Hall from SOIS who connected me, but it was just networking, and like even I still talk to him. Like you just never know when you can have these people like, oh, I know this person who will be good fit for a job. So like just keeping those networking connections throughout the, not even just like as a student, but even after that, just keeping in touch with them.
Awesome. Thank you, Polak. All right, the next question, I'll throw this to you first, John. What are some of your favorite classes and why? Like what sticks out as to why that particular course might be one of your favorite classes that you've done?
Some of the classes my first semester back, they were some of my most difficult because getting back into school was
Yeah.
tricky, turning that part of my brain back on, and even just remembering or relearning things that had been kind of lost. So even just some of the fundamental classes, the basic finance and the basic the like the corporate finance and then the like investing class were some of my favorites. I think the teachers were really great and learned so much there to kind of learn where you wanted to funnel more
Mhm.
time and effort into on those.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And then Polak or Priya, anything you want to add there in terms of some of the high level courses and things that you've done and why those have been valuable for you?
For me, this semester have been really wonderful. Like I enjoy each of my course. So I'm taking 4 courses this semester. So talking about the comparative financial statement analysis, that subject is like I'm working on the real life case study, like real data of Apple and Microsoft, and I'm analyzing that in the entire semester. So for every module, I'm analyzing what is there for Apple and Microsoft if I would work on it. So that is the wonderful part of that subject. And financial analytics, it's like a great blend of finance and programming. So we are using R to simulate portfolios and back testing trading strategies, which is really exciting. You know how the stock market I mean, based on the past data, how the stock market responds and how can we form the strategies in future to invest. And then coming to the accounting capstone experience, so we have analyzed companies like the Pharmac company and benchmarked it with various companies using different tools, which really felt like a consulting work. And the NGIS, which we have already talked about, we worked for the real data of USDA dataset and the crime dataset to work on the real world social issues. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Priya. And Plak, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you haven't done this course yet, but selfishly, I'd like to put it out there. If you just want to talk through the course you'll be doing in the summer in Sweden, and what that might look like. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm doing, hopefully, if everything comes through, I'm doing a study abroad in Sweden. It is a summer class with partnership with the health department here. So eventually I want to work in healthcare, but more on like, I guess, public health or like business side of it. So it's a perfect class because they don't only talk about healthcare, but from what I could gather, it's like more of policies and everything that could like impact healthcare. So I happened to hear about it through an email. I think Matt, you sent it out, like how it's an opportunity, and I just went in, heard about it, and so I'm doing it. It's in Sweden. We're gonna be for about a week in June in this Sweden, and then when we come back, we're actually gonna work with Rochester Regional Health and with a real life problem, which they're gonna give us, and I think we're gonna split up in teams and kind of do like client presentations, almost like a consulting work, but taking everything that we have learned from Sweden, putting in here, because Sweden's healthcare, I think, is one of the best right now. So learning from the best and putting it in the US, try to implement the solution in the US healthcare system.
Yes, thank you, Palak. Appreciate that. One of the big feedback that we've heard really from a lot of graduate students at RIT, not just business, but across the board, is trying to provide more study abroad opportunities. It's really hard to do that across a full semester in a graduate program, but at least some of the faculty-led trips that are more 1 to 2 week in nature. We're also working on a course that I believe is being offered. I can't remember if it's fall or spring, but it's going to be tied to our campus in Dubai, called Doing Business in Dubai. So there's going to be a component to that course allowing you to travel to Dubai and experience what business looks like there as well. So courses that could be done as electives across various programs, but we are looking to expand that a bit as well. And then one of the other questions, and I'll just open this up, so anybody feel free to jump in. Any extracurricular activities that you've been involved with that you want to highlight for our attendees?
Um, so I'm part of the student research initiative, and I'm also presenting my work in the AI in finance at the graduate showcase, which is tomorrow. And I love attending all the Diwali event, Halloween event, the regional events happening on campus, which I really enjoy. So yeah, all these things really excites me. I sometimes go for the dancing classes as well. So yeah, these things actually keep me alive. So I'm
Yeah,
enjoying it.
you have to find the balance, right?
Yeah, yeah. So depending on my schedule, and so I just hop in off to different classes. So yeah.
Nice, very cool.
I haven't been attending any of them on a regular basis, but I kind of bop around to a bunch of the different student groups. So there's a personal finance club, the accounting club, I forget the acronym for it, the investment club, again, I forget the acronym
The
for that
NGA,
one.
yeah, NGA club. Yeah.
And there's a real estate club, and they all have great events, and they're kind of just open to whoever. So even if there's just one event that sounds really interesting, you can pop in, meet some people, learn some stuff. And that's been really awesome, even though I haven't been dedicated to going every Monday to this and every Wednesday to that.
It's the same for me, like not going to every meeting, but I've been like one of the clubs that I joined was the project management clubs this semester, which has been really helpful because we do projects like in Rochester community, so it's not just limited to RIT. And like Priya said, like kind of balancing. There's a pickleball club that I try to go to, and like also like just picking up some like fun workout activity classes on campus. Like next semester I'm doing a country line dance class just to like mix it up. So
Yeah. And I appreciate how they are so welcoming, even if we are not regular with the classes. So that is something I really appreciate.
Yeah, just for I appreciate all of that. And I think this highlights the diversity of RIT, but RIT, for those that aren't familiar, is a large private university. I mean, we have 16,000 plus students on our main campus. We have campuses abroad as well, Dubai, Kosovo, Croatia. We have a campus in China. So, there's a lot that happens on campus. I mean, there's 300 plus clubs that are interest based, but within the business school, basically all the different disciplines within business have a club, and all of them are very active. Like, they are, again, as to John's point, like you can really bop around and connect with people and network with professionals, and really kind of build that stuff out. So back to Priya's point earlier about being proactive, this is a way to do that and accomplish that, is, getting involved outside of campus. Even if you can't fully commit, again, just when you have the time, jump in and jump in feet first and see where it might lead for you. So the final question, and then we'll open it up for any questions that our attendees have. So please feel free to put those in the chat, or once we get there, you can certainly unmute yourself as well. But what's one piece of advice that you would give our attendees as they're kind of working through the process of either preparing to come to RIT or weighing options? Like, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Um, I can start. So for me, since I'm an international student and I have to do everything in just 1 year because my course is just 1 year long. So the only advice and which have worked for me as well is being proactive. So whether it's like reaching out to professors, attending events, or applying for jobs, taking initiative, I think goes a long way here. And don't hesitate to ask for help. RIT have a really supportive environment. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Priya. And to those that are thinking about a co-op, you really want to get, down to that from day one. Even just from a career standpoint as well. Like, you want to be using the resources that we have, and leveraging that stuff. So, that proactive piece is important across a multitude of areas. But Palak and John, anything else you want to add there for a piece of advice you would give our attendees?
Yeah, I think reaching out for help when you need it, either to professors, there's tutoring set up, I think 5 days a week, maybe even six.
Yes.
Third quarter. And even other classmates is huge, because I know I didn't get everything, and I think I've been as, give and take with that as possible. And I think also keeping a little bit of flexibility in mind. My first semester, I signed up for 5 classes. The kind of difficulty of getting back into school and learning some new things, especially coding, was difficult for me. I ended up dropping it down to 4 classes. It was kind of a bummer at the time, but it was definitely for the best. I know some people have gone to 3 classes. 4 is the normal. Right now I'm in 5 classes. And that was as much a monetary issue as anything else. It gives me the freedom that this summer I can be, a lot more open up to look for jobs and get my certifications and things, but kind of keeping that flexibility, and everyone is on their own kind of path, I guess. So whether you're taking 3 or 4 or 5 classes, they're not always equally difficult. So sometimes you can get away with 5 classes. 3 classes might be really a lot depending on what you're taking. So kind of keeping a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of like grace for yourself, that if not everything goes perfectly according to plan, it'll work out in the end.
Yeah, that's a great point, John. I think just for any of international students, and Priya's and Plak are aware of this, but 3 classes is at the graduate level is the minimum that you have to be at for full-time status. So you have that ability to take down to 3, but again, as John alluded to, we do have some students that will do 4 and even 5. So that's kind of the ballpark of what to expect as you come into your program. But yeah, Plak, go ahead.
I was gonna say take opportunity, like just grab opportunities whatever you can see. At College of Business, outside academics, just RIT has so much to offer that can be good for like both personal and professional growth. Like one of the things I would highlight is like the alternative break that I did every spring for 3 years. We go out for a week and we tie up with a nonprofit. Like this year, we went to Florida with Habitat for Humanity and build houses. That was it. But like meeting, it got to have me meet other people outside of major, but also just like learning more about our community in the U.S. And also John said, have grace. Like even for me, just coming from undergrad to grad, the last first 4 weeks was so hard. So I can only imagine how it is when you come back after so many years. But it's okay. I would say have grace for yourself and give it time, and it'll figure it out at the end.
Awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate that. All right. So at this point, we can go ahead and open it up for any questions that our attendees have.
Thank you, Matthew. This is Arun here. I have one question because I am from the accounting and finance background, and I have overall 10 years of experience. And this is like same like John also, like I'm getting back to the education now again for my career to upskill. So to Priya, as you mentioned that you have dealt with the AI in the accounting. So can you please just add on like what kind of AI? Basically we know like we have like repetitive tasks, like we're creating some software or using any tool like to skip the, as you know, in accounting, we have many journal entry or repetitive tasks to be cut out. So can you just add up more on like what kind of AI has been integrated in the business accounting program for you?
So I mean, here we are, if I talk about my accounting and analytics class, so we are working on, different tools like R. In the semester, I have used R and Excel to, uh, how we can analyze the data using these tools. So we have worked on it. But if I go on in detail, like in my research initiative, which is the research assistantship, which I'm doing under a professor, wherein we actually figure out how the companies like Big Four, Deloitte, EY, KPMG, PwC have different softwares they use to, how they're adopting to AI in their business operations. So, which I'm not sure if I can talk about it more about the research because it's kind of confidential as of now. So this is what we have been, researching about. So if you talk just about the curriculum, so we have been like, I'm from India, so we are mainly focused on working in Excel. Like I'm kind of, very much experienced in Excel, but here I have learned like the different tools help in analyzing data set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Matthew. And
No,
one
I was
more
just going to
thing.
add, just
Yeah.
from an AI perspective, the university is doing a variety of summits and just various opportunities to learn more about AI on the whole. And I know from a curricular standpoint, we're readily and consistently reviewing the curriculum for how AI is being integrated into the curriculum across the board. It's ever changing, and it's difficult to kind of put exactly where that might lead. But I will say, Arun, were you admitted for accounting and analytics?
Yes, yes, Matthew. Yeah.
Did you get the note about the session we're doing Friday for those accepted students in accounting and finance?
On the 15th?
It's on the 11th. It's this Friday.
Oh, okay. I didn't got it. I'll just check.
Okay, send me an email. The reason I mention that is because it's going to be led by our faculty, so they can speak more broadly to the AI component and how it's being built in and how they're seeing it in industry as well. Priya mentioned the research she's doing, and you'll likely have that opportunity as well in assistantships or graduate assistantship positions you might have the ability to work in.
Great, Matthew. I'll do that. I'll just register for that today only.
Yep. Okay, and Natasha, thank you for this question. So I'm going to read this out just for those that might be viewing this later. So the question is surrounding time management. I'm concerned about taking classes while I'm working. My workload can be intense, and I'm wondering if any of you have time management tips or for when you are feeling overwhelmed. So anybody want to jump in there?
I guess I can start. So it can definitely be hard, especially if you're working full time and taking classes, which I don't have experience in. But at the same time, what I feel like has worked for me is I love my Google Calendar. Like I have everything scheduled in there, and I know that there's like I have just like even my homework time and everything is just in there. And depending of how many classes you're taking, one thing I have noticed is not taking all the hard classes at the same time. Like the way I divided up my classes was like I did a mix of like easy and like hard classes because there's some classes definitely that I don't spend as much time, or like I'm taking a tax class which takes so many hours because we're actually doing 1040, and John can say that because he's in my class. But I have classes like ethics where it's like, oh, a couple of hours per week and that's about it. So I would recommend that. And like for feeling overwhelmed, again, one thing I have done this semester which has been helping is kind of like mixing my time and having something that will get my mind off of studies. Like I'm taking 2 workout classes this semester, and it's just helping me not to think about studies for a while, I feel like which makes me like refreshed when I'm done with it. So like knowing what works for yourself and kind of like mix and matching has been working well for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with Palak. So the Google Calendar have been working crazily for me. Like this is one thing I feel like I'm working in corporate right now. Sometimes when the schedule gets so hectic, like it's all colored. Your Google Calendar is all colored. But I would like to highlight here that you should like probably focus on which task is like of more priority. I mean, not everything is like highly important, and if there is anything you want to talk, you can discuss with your professors here are really flexible, and sometimes they do consider extending the deadline, which I'm not really in favor of, but you can also do that. Like they encourage that, like if you're facing any problem, just come, like ask for help, go for it. I mean, do not hesitate. If you need any help, don't be overwhelmed. So this is one thing I would like to say. And just for clearing up my head and stuff, so I really stay very close to the campus, and I really love how beautiful the surroundings of the campus are. So I just take a quick round of quick walk inside the campus, or things like that, which helps me really to stay focused. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the best to say now. I'm not working and taking classes, but that allowed me to take more classes. I mean, in undergrad, I was taking 21 credits and had 3 part-time jobs. And looking back now, I don't know how I did it, but I got through it and it was okay. Especially in the business school, there's a lot of people who are doing that. So almost every class I have, at least most of them, there are people who have their full-time job and they're going back for a master's. So I can empathize with them, but there's a community of people who are going through that as well. And sometimes I also keep in mind that this is just a year of my life, and even semester by semester. Right now, it's a very busy time for me, and there is a lot of projects due, and my to-do list is huge, and I feel like it just keeps growing. But keeping in my mind that there's only so much time left, and yeah, this isn't the next 40 years. This is the next 6 months or something like that. But then also tying in, taking a walk or something. For me, I try to do most of my work on campus. I live in the city, so when I go back home, I try to do a little bit of work, but go for a walk, hit up a trail, anything like that, and keep my kind of work and life a little bit separate. And that helps me kind of keep my head straight a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good advice. For those that, again, aren't familiar with campus and haven't visited, the Saunders College of Business underwent a significant expansion last year. So we have a lot of space in the building that you can We have team rooms you can reserve, even just open space that is pretty quiet for the most part, particularly in the evenings. So there's a lot of, in the library, there's team rooms as well. So if you do want to kind of keep that separate, which I think is frankly, a pretty good idea. If you can, there is space where you can, utilize that right on campus and right within our building. So, but yeah, other questions that folks have?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so I'm a third year. I'm also in the School of Individualized Studies. I'm at Palak a while ago. But I guess my question is about pursuing, like, I guess your MBA right after your undergrad. I feel like I'm a person that is a skill and hobby collector, and I have multiple interests in different areas. And I guess I would want to learn more about each master program, and I wanted to know if there's like any resources on campus to like learn more about them.
Yeah, that's me. I can help you with that. So I think, and we can provide further resources as well, right? So I'm one person, but our faculty program directors can also shed light on their programs. Our current students, obviously, this is one of the reasons why we do these panels. We're going to be doing an alumni panel in a few weeks as well. So there's different resources and you can hear from different people about their experiences. But yeah, we can start by just discussing what your interests are and what would make sense. And then from there, we can explore different, options and resources for you to connect with faculty. And the nice thing is, Alex, if you do decide to go with something like the +1 MBA, you're gonna have some of that business background because we'll set you up to try and get you some classes before you actually start the program. And you could do that for any of our MS programs as well. So kind of dip your toes into it, get a feel for it, and kind of build off from there.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to you and set up a meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, we can, for anybody, if depending, regardless of where you are in the process, like these resources, these connection points, we have a lot of folks who are very gracious with their time and willing to connect. So we can certainly, find opportunities for you to connect with individuals that have gone through it and you want to hear from. But yeah, any other questions? All right. Well, I appreciate Palak, Priya, and John. Thank you very, very much for your time. Great insights and really appreciate you jumping on today. For those going forward, we have the alumni panel information will be out. That's not on our Outlook or on our events calendar yet, but it will be very shortly. That's going to be happening in about 3 weeks, the end of April. And then I do have a couple Ask Me Anything sessions as well. So those are just kind of, if you have questions, come get them answered. And, regardless of where you are in the process, we can kind of assist with that. But yeah, so at this point, we'll keep connected going forward. But again, I appreciate everyone's time and thanks for jumping on and have a good evening.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.